ladies and gentlemen. Without knowledge, you wouldn't be staring at a computer screen. Without knowledge, internet wouldn't exist. So you wouldn't be seeing my face live without being in front of me in person, right? What is knowledge? Knowledge is intelligence, right? Knowledge is being able to learn new things and learn about the world, learn about math, science, history, writing, all that fun stuff. And we're about to learn about that. So in this time, this is the last, by the way, this is the last lesson in the Renaissance. That's it. After this, we're done with the Renaissance, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. This crazy time period in our history. So where's my little drawing tool? Okay. The scientific revolution. This is what we're learning about today. It was a shift. By the way, what does this word mean? A shift means a change. Okay. It was a shift in thinking about the study of the natural world, okay? So people start studying the world, okay? This involves observation, observing, constantly looking, and also questioning what the beliefs were about religion. I mean, about traditional religious teachings. So before the Renaissance, the Catholic Church, Christians were very like, here's how the world works. The earth is in the center of the universe, and that's it. That's it. Accept it, deal with it, move on. Don't look into it. Just move on, okay? People during the Renaissance, because now they're thinking for themselves, and we've talked about this over and over again, right? Now they're thinking from themselves. Now they're learning from other cultures or learning other things. The printing press came out, right? So the printing press is also publishing all these books quicker, and they're cheaper. People are like, what if I challenge these ideas, right? And this is what leads to a revolution. Normally, a revolution means like a war, right? People standing up against a country and fighting against them. In this case, revolution doesn't mean people are fighting with swords. Revolution is people are fighting with their minds, right? People are fighting the Catholic Church, and they're challenging the Catholic Church, saying, is the earth really in the center of the universe? Is it really? Does science, is this really how it happens? So we're going to keep looking, okay? We're going to keep looking. So back then, the early scientists, they were just a couple of random guys. People would always kind of make fun of scientists sometimes because a bunch of nerds. You know what's sad? Sometimes it's even like that today, right? But hey, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have people looking for coming up with these vaccines for the virus. We wouldn't have satellites hovering, orbiting the earth. We wouldn't have phones and just PogChamps, a bunch of PogChamps. So what is the origins, right? Where did our science, our modern science come from, okay? Well, before the 1500s, before the Renaissance, people relied on two things. They were always dependent on two things for science. One, the Bible. If you wanted to learn about science, where did you learn about that before the Renaissance? The Bible. The Bible was your science book, okay? And then the other thing that people relied on were Greek philosophers, okay? Remember, people are starting to learn, bring back the ancient Greek teachings and Roman teachings. So this was the way to go. If you wanted to learn science, literally just look up a Greek philosopher or just read the Bible, bro. But then the Renaissance happens, and we start seeing more secularism, individualism, all that fun stuff, right? When people start having increased literacy, which is the ability to read, right? People start to question their authority, right? People start to question the Catholic Church. People start to have free thought. I can think whatever I want, and I can challenge and make up my own ideas, okay? And the mission was always the top secret mission. Someone said in the chat, so if I read the Bible, I'm learning science. Back then, before the Renaissance, yes. Back then, before the Renaissance, yes. That's a good question. Not anymore. People back then, their top mission was always understand the universe. And I know that some of you guys, not all of you guys, because some of you guys really don't care. But some of you guys sometimes are, in the car at night, the grown-ups at home are driving, and you're just looking in the moon, and you wonder, why does the moon constantly move with me? Interesting, right? The moon is following me, right? Y'all know y'all know that's happened to you, right? Sometimes you wonder, if that's a shooting star, what I just saw, how come the world isn't exploding if it's falling on our planet? Interesting. Interesting. Sometimes you guys wonder, nah, I don't think anyone wonders this, but sometimes you guys wonder about the sun, right? Like, how come it always, always, always rises from the east and it will always, always set in the west? Always. Anywhere you are, it rises in the east, it sets in the west. That will always be it. Why is that? Okay. And people back then were especially interested in the universe because now you and I know what stars are, right? Some of them are planets, some of them are just faraway galaxies, some of them are just huge suns very far away. Actually, I don't even know if you guys know any of that. You guys are going to learn most of that in 8th grade science. So never mind, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyways, what was I saying? Back then, people would look up and they just would see shiny rocks and they didn't understand these lights. They didn't understand them. And so people are like trying to wonder, a lot of people during the Renaissance are trying to understand everything. And the best way to understand everything is to question it. Okay. Is the Bible the best book to learn about science? Yes or no? That's what people are thinking. Should I always learn about what the people way back 1,000 years ago were learning about the stars, or should I look into it myself? Because it's been 1,000 years, right? So their main focus was usually always astronomy. They were always interested in following the stars, looking at the stars, right? And people during this time always believed in the geocentric universe. I'm going to repeat that again. Geocentric universe. I'm going to split the word right here. Okay. Geo means earth. Okay. Geo. That's why we have geology, the study of Earth's maps, right? And centric is just center. Okay. So people back then were always convinced, hey, we're the main characters in this story because we are in the center of the universe. And some people were like, I don't know if I agree with that. Okay. But before we talk about why they didn't agree about that, let's just keep looking into what geocentric model looked like. Here's planet Earth. Okay. This was like a little layer. I don't know. This right here is supposed to be the sun orbiting the Earth. This is an actual like star map from before the Renaissance. Okay. You guys are looking at an actual map from before the Renaissance. There's supposed to be the moon. There's supposed to be Mercury, Venus, all this fun stuff. Okay. The geocentric theory says, and if you guys watched yesterday's videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. The geocentric theories, it was supposedly that every single planet and sun and moon, they were in a bowl, kind of like in a shell or in a bowl of cereal, right? This kind of looks like in a bowl of cereals. The outer layer, the outer bowl, they're all stacked inside of each other. The outer bowl would be the bowl full of all the cute little shiny stars. Then the second to the outer bowl would be Mars, and then the sun, and then the moon. And all of this, and then here we go, Earth right in the middle, okay? And the Catholic Church ran with this idea. They loved this idea because people will always be like, who's holding up, who's holding up these bowls, right? Let's pretend that this is a thumb and here's the fingers, right? Who's holding everything up? And the Catholic Church stepped in, the Christian Church stepped in and said, God, ladies and gentlemen, God is. And so for a long time, the Christian people and even Jewish people and Muslim people, they believe this is how it is. God is at the center of everything. He's the creator. So he's holding up everything so that no one falls. And we're the main character because we're right in the middle because he loves us. He created us. If you're a Christian, you believe that. If you're a Jewish, you believe that. If you're a Muslim, you believe that. Okay. And then people were like, I don't know, because sometimes the Mars moves in a different way. Sometimes the sun moves in a different way. And some people are noticing there's a little bit of inaccuracies. There's a little bit of problems with that. Okay. Some guy was studying for several years. And he's like, I'm seeing some errors with that model, with the geocentric model. And he realizes, he stares at the stars every night and he realizes, what if, crazy idea, what if the sun is actually in the middle of the solar system? And what if us, planet Earth, right over here, what if we're actually orbiting around the sun? Just like Jupiter, just like Saturn, just like Mars. What if we're actually going around the sun? But he knows that this idea is crazy. By the way, what's the name of this idea? It's called heliocentrism. Okay, and I'm going to split that word in two. Helio is another word for sun. And then centrism means just center, right? He knows that if he tells the world this, because he realizes, I think the sun's in the middle, and he constantly checks and checks, and he tries to experiment and checks. And every time he checks, he's like, no, it honestly seems like the sun's in the middle. Okay. Then he realizes, I can't really say this out loud. If I say this out loud, people are going to be like, you're crazy, dude. You're losing it. You're insane. The Catholic Church is probably going to excommunicate him. He might get killed by someone, that's hired to kill him. He knows that if he exposes this new idea, people are going to not like him, kill him, something bad's going to happen. So this guy, his name is, what's his name? This guy's name is Nicholas Copernicus. This homie right over here, okay? Nicholas Copernicus waits until he's about to die, ladies and gentlemen. And that's when he publishes, because the printing press is out already, that's when he publishes his book, I'm going to read this out loud if I can get my book right here. It's called On the Revolutions of the Heavenly Bodies, okay? This book comes out in 1543, and the world loses it, okay? He's about to die, so he's like, I don't care, I'm about to out. I'm going to be out, okay? And the world loses, like, this guy's crazy, there's no way. So some people are like, did he literally just do that? They're like kind of losing their mind. Some people are like, let's just ignore him. He's just a crazy old guy. He's about to die, okay? Some people were like, you know what? I've also noticed that sometimes the stars and planets move in a certain way, and I never understood why. Maybe he actually has a point, okay? So some people believe him. Some people definitely don't believe him. Some people are in the middle, okay? Years later, oh, by the way, here's his idea versus the old idea, okay? The old idea had the planets moving in different, hold on, let me erase my drawings. The old idea had the planets moving and stars moving in like weird patterns. Like, look at this scribbly mess, okay? The new idea, it just makes sense. It all perfectly makes sense, okay? So then you get this other guy years down the road. This guy's name is Galileo. And this guy has been on my Bitmoji page. I don't know if anyone's noticed him. He's on the top left corner. I've had him there because this dude was so cool. He realizes, I'm going to look into this guy's works. I'm going to look into what he wrote about, and I'm going to see if it's real. And he, by this time, someone had already invented a telescope. He buys a telescope and he makes it even better. And so once he's looking at a telescope, he can see far, far away, right? You can see these planets and these stars and moons and everything. And he realizes, oh my gosh, holy sugar, honey, and iced tea. Copernicus was right all along. This dude was right. It is a heliocentric world. The sun's in the middle. We're just orbiting. And that doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It just means that people have had it wrong all along. Okay? That's that. Again, I'm not saying, I'm not going to go into that, but anyways. So he is observing the sky. He's using the telescope and he confirms, bam, there's the heliocentric theory works. It's true. This is real. And he's a professor in college, and he starts telling people, hey, what Copernicus said years ago, yeah, it's true. It's real. Okay. And he gets fired from his job as a teacher, and he gets hired somewhere else, fired again. The Pope finds out what he's telling. He excommunicates him and puts him into house arrest for the rest of his life, ladies and gentlemen. He has to be in his house, cannot leave his house for the rest of his life for what he discovered. But he was right all along. Okay. He writes this book called The Starry Messenger. Okay. The Catholic Church hates it. In fact, the Catholic Church starts burning all the books, the copies of this book. Some people, like in Germany, actually don't burn the book. They keep it to themselves because some scientists are like, this is now twice that people are saying that this might be real. So people keep looking into it, and time and time and time again, it's confirmed. The sun's in the middle. We're just orbiting. In fact, the Catholic Church today realizes Galileo was right. Okay. The Catholic Church today realizes Galileo, and I should have said this in first and second period because I don't want to offend any Catholics. But the Catholic Church has accepted, what we did to Galileo was messed up. Okay. But they didn't accept that until 1992, 2 years before I was born, guys. That was, I'm 26. That was 28 years ago. 28 years ago, they finally accepted the truth. I just think that's just crazy to me, right? But this has been proven since this year. And I don't want to do math, but what's 2021 minus 1610? Whatever the math is right there. That's how long we've known. Okay. Not only that, but Galileo also discovers that some of the planets have their own moons, right? Earth, we have our just one moon, right? Jupiter has like 72 moons or something. He just discovers 4. And in his telescope, he also realizes that the moon is not a soft little ball. There's actually mountains and craters on the moon. Even Mars, there's land there. It kind of looks like Earth if it was like Arizona, really dry, right? And he makes all these cool discoveries. And sadly, at the time, it's not widely accepted. Now we know bro had it right all along. Then we get this guy. Oh, shoot. I need to make sure that I'm not running out of time. Okay. Isaac Newton. Okay. This guy, thank you, Jacob, 411 years ago. That was 411 years ago. Thank you. Now we're going to learn about this guy, Isaac Newton. Okay. Isaac Newton, everyone kind of knows about him. And this is the first time y'all are hearing about him. You'll hear about this guy until you make it old, okay? This guy is usually in movies, or he's referenced in movies. You will learn about him in high school for sure. You guys are going to be in physics class. And that's a fun class to have, honestly. It's one of my funnest class. But anyway, Isaac Newton, one day, he's sitting on a tree, under a tree, and he realizes that an apple falls, okay? And I like this GIF, except the fact that this GIF thinks it shows him using a selfie, taking a selfie. Selfies don't exist back then, obviously. It's just a funny GIF. I want to point that out there. Phones did not exist 411 years ago, okay? Thank you. But anyways, apples do exist back then, so an apple legitimately falls. And because people in the Renaissance, they're always thinking about stuff, right? They're always wondering, always trying to learn. And this guy, he's like, why is it that every time something drops or is not held on anymore, it just always falls to the ground every single time? And RIP to my phone. Here's my phone right now. Why is it that I know that if I let go of it right now, it's going to fall? 3, 2, 1. Oh, this hurt my desk. Okay, I didn't break it. But anyways, why is it? Why is that? I was gonna grab my water, but if I do like this right here, don't wet yourself, Mrs. Escobar. Do not do it. But anyways, if I tilt it a little more, why is it that the water will always fall? So this guy he doesn't discover gravity. Gravity was already there. Gravity has always existed, right? But this guy realizes there's a name for this. He understands that sometimes when you have a body mass so big, like planet Earth, it starts to form its own gravity, right? We're smaller, so we are constantly connected to our Earth. We constantly are always going to be on the floor on Earth. The sun is 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 times bigger than planet Earth. That's a planet Earth. It's the pull, its gravity is always orbiting around the sun. That's why all these planets are always orbiting around the sun, because of gravity. Gravity. Someone says, what if I don't want to be connected to Earth? Okay, that's a very good question, Isabella. All you have to do is become a billionaire. Get on a spaceship, go into space. When you get farther from Earth, the gravitational pull is less and less and less. And that's why when you see space movies, people are floating, because they're not the closer you are to Earth, there's more gravity. The farther you are from Earth, There's no gravity, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Anyways, this guy's PogChamp, amazing. He's really cool. All right, now I have to talk about this because if I don't talk about this on Thursday, you guys won't know what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, the scientific method. Okay. Do you guys remember when we were talking about the Black Death and how the doctors literally convinced everyone that the way people got sick was because if I made eye contact with Jacob and I was sick, it was my ghost that left my eyes, and because I made eye contact with Jacob, the ghost went and entered his body, right? That is not a scientific explanation, sir. Sir, I want a refund. That's not true. How can you explain that logically? That doesn't reasonably, it doesn't make sense. This is what the people in the Renaissance are doing differently. Instead of always explaining things with spirits and ghosts, and no offense to Christians, but with like religion, with God, why don't we test things using logic, common sense, reason, being rational about this, okay? So the scientific method comes in. So let's use this as an example, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, let's pretend it's about to be Halloween. I know not all of you guys celebrate it, but people always get weird on that time, right? People like to get scary. Even if you don't celebrate it, you're like, whatever, you know? And so you live next to this house, and people are saying, hey, you know, the house you live next to on Halloween, a little dead ghost comes out. It's a kid that used to live there, and he died there 100 years ago, and you could see his ghost in Halloween. And you're like, I don't care. So you go in there, and you're like, I don't even celebrate Halloween, right? Some of you guys don't. So you guys will enter, you're like, this is dumb. There's no ghost in here. And you enter, and the first thing you hear is, oh, oh. And you're like, oh, wait, okay, wait. Wait, I don't believe in ghosts. Is there actual ghost in here? So you're like about to walk away, and you're like, wait a second. I'm not about to be a wimp, okay? Mama no raise no wimp. So you're like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So you walk in and you realize, okay, so it sounds like, let's figure out the problem first. The problem is that there's a weird sound, okay? The weird sound, that's the problem. That's the first step in the scientific method, ladies and gentlemen. The second step is to gather as much information as possible. So you're like, all right, let me gather some information. This place is abandoned. No one lives here. There are a lot of windows, and outside it's windy. Okay, that's all the information I've collected. Step number 3, form a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an educated guess. So your educated guess is going to be, instead of it being an evil spirit or a ghost of a dead little boy, what if it's just the wind? It's windy outside. There's a lot of windows in here. What if it's just the wind? So now it's time to experiment and test this hypothesis. So what you're going to do is you're going to find 3 windows in this house, okay? You go to these 3 windows that are right next to each other for all intents and purposes. You're going to find these 3 windows, and you're going to open one completely open. That's the first one. The second one, you're going to just open it just a crack. And the third one, you're going to have it completely shut. The first one, you notice, you can hear the wind outside, but it's not going, ooh. Okay, all right. The last one, the one that was completely closed, that one, you can hear the wind outside, but barely, but there's also no ooh. But the second one, the one that you left kind of open, that's the one that's making the same sound you were hearing when you entered. The ooh. And it's just the wind. It's going so fast, and it's trying to squeeze into this one little crack in the window that sometimes it makes noise with the vibrations. That's it. And you're like, okay. So I collected and I recorded all my data. Bam. My conclusion is the sound that was being made wasn't an evil dead boy spirit ghost. It's actually just the wind trying to get in. So all you're going to do is you're just going to go look for that window somewhere in the house. Bam. You find it in the attic. You close the window. There's no sound. Just like that, you proved with science, with proof, with experimentation, that there's no ghost in there. and you come out and people are looking at you like, bro, did you really just go in the haunted house? Oh my gosh, you're so brave, dude. And you're like, yeah, I'm brave. You guys are all just a bunch of wimps. You guys aren't using the scientific method, bro. So on Thursday, I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms. Oh, yes, I know you guys love those breakout rooms. And I'm going to give you guys like a little thing to solve. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little problem to solve. And you guys are going to have to use the scientific method, state the problem first, gather information, form a hypothesis, blah, 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 to figure out what's really going on. Okay. I think that if you guys haven't seen the videos in yesterday's assignment, it would really come in handy to watch those videos now. Okay. So yesterday's assignment right here, the scientific revolution. My ear's starting to hurt because of my headphones. Ow. Anyways, these 3 videos talk about everything we just learned about, and this one right here specifically talks about the scientific revolution. So and this little cartoon, it explains it 10 trillion times better than I ever will. So if you guys haven't already, watch these videos, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the scientific revolution. People stopped using, scary supernatural stuff. They stopped relying on the Bible and religion. Now they're questioning things. And it doesn't mean that people stop being Christians. Some people were like, okay, God still exists, but let me see exactly what's going on here, right? And some people are like, that's proof that God doesn't exist. So people are always like, well, science proved that God does exist. And other people are like, well, science proved that he doesn't exist. That is always a huge argument. I'm not going to get into, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. But science and using the scientific method will give you knowledge. It will always help you come up with the right answers all the time. During medieval times before the Renaissance, people would be like, well, because I'm saying it, it's true. Okay. People during the Renaissance says, no, not just because you say it. It has to be because you said it, you experimented, and because you proved it. That's what makes it true. And that's a huge difference between the Renaissance and medieval times. People are learning things. People are experimenting things. People now need proof. They need the receipts, ladies and gentlemen, not just random people coming up with random stories to explain everything. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is today's Zoom.